Okay, what is going on, everybody? So, I never thought I was really going to be doing a video like this, but I've done some inner work and had to really sit down with myself and say, why am I so against the word spiritual business? I really felt like a lot of people were riding off of a wave that was trendy to use spiritual or, oh, I'm spiritual and this and that. And I had to check myself and say, one, stop judging those people. They're at where they're at, and that's that. That's not where you are, and you know your integrity. So, that, right? And two, I just kind of needed to work through my own energy because through my own healing and digging in my ancestral healing, I noticed that there was some things of around fear and just showing up and using that word. And I just had to check myself like, girl, first of all, spirituality is connecting with your spirit, connecting with things that are unseen, connecting with energy and healing and everything that I already do. And I just was like, girl, stop worrying about stuff that looks like whatever, whatever, right? So, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Coy, and I have this YouTube page that talks about spiritual entrepreneurship. You know, it was easy for me to say spiritual entrepreneurship because I was on a spiritual journey that I was awakened to. I do feel that we are all spirit beings, and a lot of us aren't awake to our spirit, right? And some people actually choose to go on a spiritual journey. I didn't choose, right? And that happened. I was awakened by that in my entrepreneurship. And now, 10 years later, I'm here helping other people along their spiritual entrepreneurship and really helping them craft their soul led, unique, creative gifts and turn them into a profitable offer that you can give and connect to your clientele, right? By helping them with brand develop and niching their business. So this is what I do in a nutshell, at least. If you want to look out more, you can definitely look at my business Array of Gratitude in the links below. But let's get into this. What makes your business spiritual? Because somebody asked me like, well, what is a spiritual business, right? And a lot of times people sometimes think, if you have locks, if you're doing, if you sell crystals and metaphysical tools, right? Tarot cards or natural products or something, then it's spiritual, right? And if we're doing like incense and meditations, it's spiritual. But that is part of spirituality, but that's not the end all be all. And I'm here to tell you about five five things that I feel that are spiritual businesses. Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, so number one, let's just talk about it. Like I said, crystals, metaphysical tools, divination tools, things that really are products that are deemed spiritual, right? That is spiritual business. We can say that. That's spiritual business. But not only products that are deemed as spiritual, right? Any other products that I feel that are actually helping people heal, right? Go through their healing journey and give a sense and a connection to their spirit and soul. I do feel that is what makes a spiritual business. So now that we got that out the way, let's get to number two. Okay, so to me, I feel like number two would be a business that spreads knowledge about esoteric things, knowledge about occult or metaphysical information. I do feel that that is a spiritual business, okay? And let's talk about this because sometimes people get like, well, what are these terminologies? So I'm going to pull it up on the screen and I Googled, look, this is what the definition that Google is. And if I have anything extra to say, I'll definitely say that, okay? So esoteric means intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with specialized knowledge or interest. So I also was seeing like esoteric because I remember like I heard that word and I just felt like pure resonance in my heart. And it was connecting with the word eccentric, But eccentric is a little bit different. It's not esoteric. All right, it's people mowing lawn again, and it's really annoying. I can't stand when they do it. It's just like, why are you doing it at these times? But anyway, I'm sure y'all can hear me. So again, eccentric, you guys can look that up. But esoteric is more about like secret knowledge, which resonates with occult knowledge. The Greek terminology of eso is actually within, and exo is out. So it's kind of reminding me of as within, so without. Um, I just feel like some people, that 1% of humanity knows, or even 5% knows about certain knowledge, connecting with the spirit realm, connecting with other energetic, metaphysical things and terminologies that most people just don't understand. And they're deemed as weirdos, right? And weirdo actually used to be a word that they called witches, I believe. I've heard. Um, Go figure, right? Again, occult is, in a broad sense, a category of esoteric, supernatural beliefs or practices, secret information. So that's what occult means, right? It doesn't necessarily mean a cult, but it does mean an occult. And people have used those terms of occultism or spiritualism, right? Those were actually movements, I want to say, in the 1800s. Don't quote me. Turn of the century of 1900s. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But yeah, that's kind of, which is weird because it's only been like about 100 and some years ago. But before 2020, it seemed like that energy was still lingering of like, mysticism, mystical. It is a creepy vibe. It reminds me of Scorpio energy because they are of occult. They dive deep, and sometimes people deem Scorpios, right, sneaky or whatever, right? Just like a scorpion, they go underwater, but not underwater, underground, right? But what's in the dark, right? Just because it's shadows or mystic and whatnot, it doesn't always have to be spooky, right? That's just kind of us, our brain being trained from scary movies and things of that nature. All things that are in the dark are not always scary, right? Especially when we shine that light on it, okay? So let's talk about metaphysical. Okay, so metaphysical is relating to metaphysics. And the term metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that deals with the first principle of things, including abstract concepts such as being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, time, and space. And for me, in layman's term, it's really scientific, nerdy, like stuff that you probably would learn with NASA or like just like outer space stuff, jargon. um, so it's like the science and bringing the science and the natural, creative, supernatural things in a line. And if a business has a lot of information about that, and you actually want to make it a business, right? Whether you have a service, teaching courses or whatever, I deem that as a spiritual business. Okay. So let's get to number 3. So number 3 is kind of like number 2. I'm pretty sure these things are going to like overlap. And please, like again, by all means, this is just my opinion, take it or leave it. Take it like a grain of salt, okay? But I just felt like I wanted to make this video because in my Patreon, which I'll tell you a little bit later, I wrote a little excerpt on this and I wanted to share this with you all. Okay, so let's talk about 3. If you have practices like self-care practices, self-love practices that you've learned about yourself, things that you have actually experienced, right? And created rituals for healing. And just understanding a new perspective as you went through this, and now it's your turn to share and service. I deem that as spiritual business. I believe the church folk say, it's your missionary. now to actually serve other people, because you're now ordained by God to actually do that, right? I think priests, and don't get me wrong, I really don't know, but I feel like that's what that is. I'm not a church folk person. My church is within my house in my community. You know, you don't have to be at a synagogue or a place of worship to actually worship. You know what I'm saying? But I don't knock anybody if it's making you grow, if it's making you feel connect with a higher source and a higher understanding and mature, by all means necessary, right? So that's number three. If you have something that you know that you've experienced, you've learned, you're practicing now, self care, self love just automatically comes to mind. But there's so many other things, fill in the blank, right? And other rituals too that you've practiced and felt like, okay, this really helps me, and I know I can share this with other people. It's spiritual business, right? Where wouldn't it be? Let's go to number four. If you've been on this channel or you've been following my content for a while, I'm pretty sure you've heard me say God-given talents, right? Because I do feel that we come here with these talents. And a lot of them, sometimes people relate them to like creative arts, those type of talents, right? But there's other talents too that people have that doesn't necessarily have to be in the realm of creative arts. Um, you can have a talent of talking to people to make them feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever seen any of those superhero movies that are like, they have this like odd, strange talent? I like watching movies and series kind of like that. You know, you might have a talent of brushing dog hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't matter. It's unique to you and it's given from source. And I do feel that it has to do with your destiny and your purpose on what you're here for. Now, we have multiple purposes of why we're here. It's not just one thing. I don't feel like we're destined for one thing. That's just my opinion. But utilize that. If you don't use it, you lose it. And sometimes if you don't lose it, it does a disservice to yourself and your own path in life. So I feel that if you have a God-given talent, right, it's something that's on your heart and soul to actually share with others. I don't care what it is. If it's something, building Legos really good and making little people out of Legos, do that, because somebody somewhere is going to need that and feel so good, because sharing is really caring. Sharing is shining light and allowing that part of you within your soul and your heart to just shine and radiate and connect with other people. It's so healing. And that's what I feel like is a spiritual business. It doesn't have to be woo woo, occult, metaphysical stuff. That's just something that I feel is spiritual. Um, and it leads me to the fifth one, which again kind of overlaps. If you have a healing business, right? Whether you're an energy healer or there's a particular way that you are healing people, like I was saying, from heart to heart, soul to soul, that's spiritual business. I was watching the other day, what is this movie called with my nephew? I think it's called Chang Can Dunk. It's on Disney. And this guy was helping the boy, a younger boy, how to dunk because he didn't know how to dunk. And when he was like, they had a like heart to heart moment, and he was saying something like, "How come you didn't go pro or whatever?" Blah blah blah. But I remember him saying, like, when he dunks, he felt like it was a spiritual thing. And like I think my mom was there too watching it, and we looked like, okay. But it was funny because how he was explaining it, how like, it's very healing and it connects with other people and it's just really heart centered. And I just started laughing because that's true. If it's heart centered, it's connecting with people, it's making people feel good. That is a spiritual thing, and it's definitely making you feel good. And that goodness that you're creating within you is sharing it with other people. That's healing, and that's spiritual, and that's just a feeling that you just can't explain. And I feel like things that you can't explain can be supernatural. So, all that being said, right? That's my special 5 things that make a business spiritual. I'd love to know what you guys think. I want to open the dialogue for that, because just because this is my perspective does not mean that this is the end all be all and this is what only makes your business spiritual. Like, absolutely not. Okay. But anyone out there, anyone out there in the world of the internet, what do you think? Like, what would you add to the list? What would you take off the list? Like, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed already, if you're feeling the vibe, just like, share, comment. That's the easiest way you can support me. And let's talk about this Queen of Wands club that I have, okay? So, the Queen of Wands club is on Patreon, and it allows you to have exclusive content. And when I say exclusive content, you're getting to understand and experiences of my own entrepreneurship that I've shared, right? I don't share everything on the internet, but I want to build this community of my own, the Queen of Wands Club, to share certain things that connect with um, women that are dealing with the hustle culture and the corporate culture, and going through things that are actually could possibly be work trauma, um, things that are just making you feel really burnt out and disconnecting you from your soul. These are things that I talk about because I've experienced that. I've had burnout more than once. And I want to help prevent burnout, and I want to help you recover from burnout. So if this sounds like something for you, definitely. I also have free tutorials in there that you can actually learn about branding, certain apps that can be for free or cheaper, where you don't have to be blowing all your money and thinking that entrepreneurship and starting a business is so much money. There's ways to go around that. And I always talk about brand strategy. You need strategy to market. You need strategy to connect with certain people. And you need strategy to start a business. A lot of people that I speak with and have clients with are in the startup phase. And guess what, y'all? There's different phases in the startup. So things like that you can find, right? That's on my Queen of Wands. And I have a special course that I'm preparing, and hopefully by a certain amount of people that join the club, I'll be able to reveal it to you, and you'll get a discount for that. And I also have events that you can come to for free or discount. So check it out. I'd love for people that are feeling the vibe to connect like minds. I see you, okay? You see my value, I see yours. Namaste. The light within me sees the light within you. All right, y'all. So stick around. If anything, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I'm going to be doing a lot more intuitive messages for my entrepreneurs, and just other things around business and the spiritual business owner. All that jazz, all right? So, like I like to say always, until next time, I'm outie. Peace.